Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Wherever you're tuning in from, it's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, Crypto Assets, and Interviews. We're going to get started with today's live stream here momentarily. We'll give it another minute or so for people to join us. I see we have some people joining the live stream. Welcome, welcome. We're going to get started here momentarily. We'll give it another 30 seconds or so for people to jump on. All right, happy Monday, everybody. It is June 26th. Hope you're doing awesome. In today's video, we're going to be doing a live stream market update here before market close. I'm making today's live stream public, so if anybody does have any ticker requests, please let me know your ticker and the exchange, and we'll get to that at the end. As per usual, I usually make these private for Power Group private members, but today, like I said, making it public. It's been a while since I did a ticker request video, so I figured I would tackle both of those together today at the same time. So if anybody does have any ticker requests, as always, please just make sure to drop the ticker request in the live chat and the exchange. That will help me because sometimes there can be some duplicates there. So just make sure you give me the exchange, and that'll help speed things along. But we'll take a look at the crypto space here at the moment. So we do have 15-minute uptrends confirming across most of our major names. If we take a look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's actually starting daily consolidation for the first time in, if we take a look realistically, it's the first time in over 10 days, 10 trading days. So actually 10 days since it trades 24/7, 365. But if we take a look at SPY was a weekly bull flag. Weekly bull flag. We're on the daily time frame here, but if we zoom out to the weekly, it was a weekly bull flag that we were watching for, and the target was 439, and we've hit that target. And look where we wicked perfectly, and where the candle body was, right at 439. So technical analysis, anybody who tells you that it doesn't work, completely just doesn't know what they're talking about. They just haven't learned how to use the tool, right? It's like a contractor buying a new, $10,000 tool and not looking at the manual and figuring out how it works, right? And spending hours and hours of time learning it, right? There are people that go to school for, years, 6+ years, some plus, doctors, even more than that, and to learn how to use certain utensils and tools, right? And to study and become an expert. So if you look at technical analysis and you spend 20 minutes and you think it's all hocus pocus baloney, well, there's a good chance you just didn't learn how to use it. So it's usually not the tool, it's the person using the tool. And again, technical analysis isn't the end all be all. It's just to have an edge. It's probabilities. Investing is probabilities, right? No one knows for sure if something's going to have long-term viable staying power, right? If it's going to stand the test of time. That's what investing is. Trading's a little different because you're using support and resistances, things like that, and you have clear stop levels, you have clear profit level, take profit levels, you have a clear level that you exit at, or you had a stop loss, right? If you have this X amount of risk, that's where you're going to exit that trade. Whereas investing, you're kind of just betting on the future, right? And you're putting, you're placing your bets, you're slowly dollar cost averaging, or you're buying the lows and you're selling the highs. That's generally what you want to do, or you have a time frame or you're a catalyst or something like that you're looking out for. And everybody's different. But when we look at technical analysis, wouldn't you rather know that if something was saying on the chart that we were going to 36,000, if there was one indicator saying we were going to 36,000, or if there was 2 or 3, the more indicators, the more patterns, the more just signals that we have that things are pointing to a certain direction. If 8 out of 9 indicators that you're looking at are saying we're going upward from here to 36,000, wouldn't you rather know that versus being, a deer in the headlights, just not knowing with your head in the sand, right? So this is the power of technical analysis. It's another tool in your tool belt. So Bitcoin right now is a daily bull flag. We're starting daily consolidation, like I said, for the first time in 10 days, which we knew would be coming eventually. And I even speculated that it could happen this week. And then we could see some weakness in the S&P 500, and that's exactly what we've been seeing. SPY had yet to really see any daily consolidation, and it was the same thing. If you look at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, it's pretty much similar to SPY, right? They're both risk-on assets. So again, it doesn't move down to the second, the day, the minute, but overall, whenever we have risk assets, Bitcoin being a risk asset, it tends to follow the NASDAQ and tech stocks and equities, right? So we knew that we hadn't really consolidated in a meaningful way on the S&P 500 in many days as well, and we're finally starting weekly consolidation. So if we zoom out to Bitcoin, nowhere near starting weekly consolidation. We'd have to lose the low of last week at 26,266. So we've got a ton of room. Probably won't see weekly consolidation till at the very least next week. But SPY starting weekly consolidation, which we knew was likely to be the case this week, which I mentioned last week. So if you were part of the private live streams last week in the Pal Group private community, you would have got a heads up that this week we could see some weakness. And that's sure enough, that's what we got, right? Because we're losing the low of last week. We had a weekly inside bar that broke, actually 2 weekly inside bars that broke bearish, and we were tightening up, and now we're looking for a potential higher low to form somewhere around 422 or around EMA 26 there at 411. But like I said, Bitcoin is a daily bull flag on watch. As long as 28,865 holds, the daily bull flag remains intact. If we lose that level, 28,865, the 0.32 fib, then it's going to negate the odds of that playing out. And notice I say odds because we don't know for sure. It's just what we're looking at, right? And we get confirmation, you play on confirmation, you look, you wait, and then you speculate, and then you place your bets, you have your stop loss, or you have your levels where you could even go long, right? You could even set a stop buy. If we break 31,441, that confirms the daily bull flag. So if we break that, you could set a stop buy. You could even set a stop buy at 31,500. If we break 31,500, buy, and then your take profit level could be somewhere around 36,000, right? So even if you play conservative, that's about a 13%, 14% swing trade. But if you're looking to go a little bit more aggressive, maybe you're looking to get it closer to that 0.32 fib. So maybe you start to scale in now, you scale in a little bit and in 3% and then in a little bit in 5% playing off that 0.32 fib. If we lose that, then we're no longer considered the daily bull flag. So you could look to get it closer to 28,865, and then from there, you're looking at about 26% of upside, right? So it just depends on how much risk versus reward you want to take on, right? So at this point, as long as that 0.32 fib at 28,865 holds, we're still a daily bull flag. If we lose that, we negate the odds and we won't be expecting continuation. Daily bull flag or bull flag in general is just a bullish continuation pattern. So in order to confirm this bullish continuation pattern, we need to break 31,441. We break that, we confirm the daily bull flag, and we're targeting 36,788 on the measured move. And for the measured move, you just take the low to the high, and then you move it out to the 0.32 fib. If you're unsure how to use the fib tool, I have a course on how to do so, but you just take the Fibonacci low to the high, and then you got your 0.32 fib, and then you take your measured move, which is a trend line from the low to the high, and you move it out to the 0.32 fib, and then that gives you your daily bull flag target, which is, like I said, 36,800, 700 to 800, roughly, give or take. And again, you know, if we have a target of 36,700, 36,800, this is just a rough estimation. You don't want to wait exactly till 36,700 usually, right? You want to maybe start to exit as we get closer to 36,000, right? Just play a little bit more conservative, or maybe enter as we get closer to 29,500, right? You don't want to always have to be greedy, right? Or to try to maximize everything, right? If it's saying this is a 25% move, maybe you're okay with getting 20% or 15%, right? Again, just play the odds, and you'll usually do better than most traders or investors, right? And just looking at, you know, data and logic versus emotion and just acting on fear and greed and all that nonsense, right? So we're looking at that potential for a daily bull flag to confirm. See, we have some people joining us. So again, we're doing a market update. We'll start with crypto, then we'll look at the broader market, then we'll jump into some individual tickers, then we'll jump into the MJ space. If anybody does have any ticker requests, please let me know, and also include the exchange so it helps move things along a little bit quicker. In terms of movers and shakers today in the crypto sphere, we have CODE, HP, BIGG, and then on the bull list, we have LBC, CEL, and KQC. All right, moving on. So we'll take a look at SPY. So again, SPY finally starting weekly consolidation as we expected last week to be the most likely scenario. And now we're looking for a higher low compared to 402.25. It was 403, but we had the dividend distribution. So that did skew off the numbers a little bit. So if you're looking for more accurate numbers, look at SPX. So as you can see, SPX is 404.8. is what we would be looking for, a higher low compared to. But like I said, finally starting with the consolidation. This is just healthy. We're still in a weekly uptrend. We had the low, high, higher low, and higher high. I said that we were targeting 439 as a remember what I showed you with the daily bull flag here on Bitcoin. Okay, do the same thing. We'll just reiterate the exact same thing here for the daily bull flag, or sorry, for the weekly bull flag that we were looking at. You take the low to the high. We held the 0.32 fib there at 491 to perfection. And then you take your measured move, that trend line, you move it out to the 0.3 at 2 fib. Oh, look at that. We hit exactly what technical analysis said. And then look where we printed that candle close, right at 439. So we wicked above it, but then we closed right at that daily bull flag target. So again, if anybody doesn't understand technical analysis and they tell you it doesn't work, they clearly don't know what they're talking about, because this played out to perfection. And how could I have known that? It's not that I had a crystal ball, and it's not that it was going to be a guarantee, right? But it said that the probabilities, the odds are favoring upside continuation, and that's exactly what we got. But then we hadn't consolidated in 50 days on the weekly time frame. So in how many weeks is that? In 7 weeks, we hadn't lost the low of the previous weekly candle. We did here briefly 408.71 to 408.36, but not enough of a pivot to consider that enough meaningful weekly consolidation. So realistically, from here, after starting weekly consolidation, we could drop almost 7% and still be in a weekly uptrend, just looking for a healthy weekly higher low. So again, knowing technical analysis just helps you maintain the narrative that we're still bullish, no matter what mainstream media is saying, no matter what kind of geopolitical events are going on, or what kind of fear or whatever FUD people are spreading. That as long as 402.25 holds on SPY, we're still in a weekly uptrend. So forget what everybody else says and what the narrative is. Until we start to break down and lose support and break resistances, then the thesis remains intact. And right now we're 100% bullish. This market is looking for more upside. And as I've been saying for a while now, because of how manipulated the markets have been, right? The dot-com days that were very similar. We hit price peaked in 2000. RSI peaked in 1996. 4 years later, price peaked, and then we went to monthly oversold. Look what happened here in the everything bubble compared to the dot-com bubble. RSI peaked in 2018, 4 years later. Price peaked in 2022, and then we're heading to monthly oversold. So I would say we're probably going to be monthly oversold at some point by the end of 2024. And then that would put us, if we take the dot-com fractal, that would put us down here around low 200s. But again, because there was no trillions of dollars being printed, because there was no C19, because the government wasn't printing trillions of dollars and artificially propping up the market, Feds banned themselves from owning stocks here, right at the top. Not here, not here, not here. Why? Because they're borderline criminals and should be put in jail, and they shouldn't even be allowed to trade it in the first place. But they banned themselves, and then they look like heroes. Now, guess who still can buy stocks right now? Congress. Why should Congress, the people who create the laws, why should they be able to own stocks? It doesn't make any sense. So where do you think they're going to want to sell? Do you think they're going to want to sell here? Or are they going to think why didn't they sell here? Why didn't they sell? So where do you think Congress is going to want to sell if the Fed sold here? Probably somewhere around there, right? Or at least we should see some sort of news on that, where there's a bill already circulating through Congress at the moment to get them from ban congresswomen, congressmen from owning stocks. So I would anticipate that'll probably be one of our top indicators, right? So watch for that to potentially happen as a potential top. But again, I am expecting a massive 1929 depressionary type style crash. And again, might not happen in a month, 6 months, a year, could be 2 years, could be 3 years, who knows, right? As we know, the market is completely manipulated, and all we can do is prepare for all scenarios. Up, down, sideways. I have my long bags. I have my short-term bags. I have my short positions. I have my long positions. I have, real estate. I have MJ stocks. I have tech stocks. I have cryptos, right? And I'm hedging. I have a 6-figure cash position, so I'm prepared for all scenarios. I'm ready to buy the dip. I'm ready to play the rip. And again, just up, down, sideways. That's all we can look at, right? Mutual funds as well. So pretty much all of my mutual funds, are 95% of them, 95% of the capital in my mutual fund and my RRSPs are in money market fund. And if you take a look at how much money's in money market fund right now, it's staggering. I think it's like $4 trillion or something like that. So people are expecting a pretty big crash. But again, this is where people get FOMO. Is they FOMO in, they're like, oh, we're going back to all-time highs just to squeeze out another 7% out of the S&P 500. And then we drop 40, 50%, right? So it's not worth it, in my opinion. I'll gladly wait 2-3 years. I'm not retiring for another, pretty much, freedom 30. I'll never have to worry about money ever again, but I'm going to continue to work because I enjoy this. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy making these videos, and I enjoy, just helping people. And I have a lot of goals and aspirations, and I'm looking to make, my family generational wealth. So I'll just continue to work because I have to, not because I want to, and that is because I want to, not because I have to. And that is the differentiation between most people. Most people are hitting 60, 65. What's the retirement now? 67 keeps going up, right? Why do you think it keeps going up? Because times are changing, right? Times they keep printing money, and there's nothing. They don't have any hard assets. They're just trading their time for money, and money's getting devalued. The buying power is going down because the governments keep printing it into trillions and trillions of dollars, deflating the currency and lowering the buying power. Right? Big Macs used to cost 5 cents. Now they cost $10. So again, the more you hoard money and save money in crappy fiat currency, which is the biggest shitcoin of all time, well then you're just your chances of generational wealth diminish significantly because no fiat currency will ever stand the test of time. So it's better to diversify, have hard assets. And like I said, I'll be making videos until the day I die because this is a passion of mine. I love the financial markets. I love interacting with people online here and helping people as well. And I've seen firsthand what it's like to just and I've experienced. I'm a retail investor. What it's like being in the market and not knowing what these charts mean, and it's like riding a bike after a while. It's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. But DXY still sitting here in limbo mode, so we're just waiting for direction. We're going sideways. We're waiting for potential for a monthly downtrend to confirm and a monthly bear flag. 178 is going to be the level to be watching. If we lose 100.78, we confirm the monthly downtrend and the monthly bear flag targeting $93, which will be extremely bullish for stocks and crypto and could see a massive, massive move into the end of the year. Taking a look at some individual names on the day today. In terms of movers and shakers, we have NAK, SNAP, and Uber leading the bull list. Not a whole lot on the bull list today. VEGA, NKLA, and BYND leading the decline. So lots of red out there today, not surprising. NKLA, I know a couple people in the PAL Group private community took a trade on this one, but I mentioned to be very, very cautious. We were up 250% on NKLA, and here we are down from that high, down 42%. We did hit high, though, of $1.83. I know a lot of people were taking profits around $1.10, $1.20, but look where we are now. We're back down to around $1, and we're finally just starting weekly consolidation. At the moment, could it potentially be a weekly bull flag? Usually, weekly bull flags are in a bullish continuation pattern in a weekly uptrend or in whatever time frame uptrend. And because we're not in a weekly uptrend, that negates the odds. And then we lost a 0.382 fib, and there you go. More technical analysis logic making sense because it's a continuation pattern. We weren't in an uptrend, so therefore the odds of continuation were lower, and we lost a 0.382 fib as a result. And here we are. We're probably going to pull back to around 83 cents or 80 cents, right? So again, technical analysis, if you know how to use it, makes quite a bit of sense. Tesla seeing some weakness and attributing to a lot of the weakness in the broader market, seeing weekly consolidation, very similar to the SPY chart. And we're looking for a weekly higher low here. We didn't really consolidate since 164, but even then it wasn't a massive pivot point. 152 is our solid level to go off of. So from here, just to the EMAs, we could pull back 10, 15%, and then to price action, we could pull back 30% to 35%. So yeah, we need to be expecting some pretty decent downside here on Tesla. It doesn't mean we have to get there, but let's go back actually to the weekly time frame here. I'm going to ignore that because it wasn't enough of a pivot point. Anything over 229 is a potential weekly bull flag. So again, another way you can play this is look to enter based on that support level, right? So we'll take this trend line, move it out to our 0.32 fib, so low to the high, move it out to the 0.32. Is right there, and we're targeting about $430 on Tesla, and that makes sense. Why? Because we zoom out to the monthly. We're in a monthly uptrend with a low, high, higher low, and higher high. Where's our next resistance? 314, right? And then after that, 384. So we could see lots of upside from here. But this weekly bull flag target, we'll see if it has any accuracy. But that would be putting us at a new all-time high. Could we get there? Well, again, Congress would love that so that they can ban themselves from owning stocks and then look like heroes, just like the Fed did when we were at the previous all-time high over a year ago. It's funny how markets work, right? Anybody who tells you that they're not manipulated and governed by the powers that be and Wall Street and the central banks JP Morgan's, Morgan Stanley's, BlackRock's, they're completely out to lunch. They have no idea what they're talking about. IMCC, WIB, and NOVC leading the bull list in Canadian MJ. On the bear list, we have PWR, Huge, and Love. Let's take a look at some of our names here. So we're not doing too bad here today, all things considered. We're up, 3-4% on average. Some names down 2-3%. But Tilray trying to get this weekly bounce underway after just continually, how many weeks of weekly consolidation? 6 weeks in a row of losing the low of the previous weekly candle, when Bitcoin and the S&P 500 have seen 6 weeks of higher highs and higher lows, a higher low every single candle. And the opposite on Tilray and MJ, Canadian MJ so far, where we were seeing a lower high every single candle, where we didn't break the high of the previous week and we formed a new low, breaking the low of each weekly candle. So now key level will be 163 on Tilray. If we break that, that could be a nice swing trade opportunity. Just to EMA 12, you're looking at 20% of upside, and then to EMA 26, you're looking at 47% of upside. So again, if you're looking for a swing trade opportunity, you could set your stop below the low there at 151, playing off 150 psychological USD on the NASDAQ. So then you can set your stop at, say, 144, 134, however much money you're willing to risk, right? If you're using a larger position, larger capital, maybe you don't want to have a big of a stop loss, right? Because you're not willing to lose that much, right? But if you're willing to lose, say, even if you just go down to 144, that's about 4.5%. Let's say you're willing to lose 10% of your money, then you could do 134-ish. And then you could even you could do a stop buy. You could say, okay, 163 is the high of last week. Okay, if we break 165, I'll enter and go bullish. And then we can see 20% of upside. Then you could set your stop below the low there at 150, right? Or you can start to scale in now. And again, the earlier you scale in, the more risk you take on, right? So again, it's all about risk versus reward and support and resistance. CGC hasn't broken the low of last week yet. 50 cents. This could be a nice bottom to be looking out for on the NASDAQ here on CGC, with 50 cents psychological being a nice round psychological number. We're weekly oversold. And then on the monthly time frame, if we take a look at the monthly time frame, we're very, very close to monthly oversold. We've only been this oversold on the monthly time frame once. Only one time we've been more monthly oversold than we are right now. So again, if you know nothing about technical analysis or investing or trading or anything like that, if you just sell when we're here, where we're overbought, right? Overbought means people are buying it too much, right? It's probably overvalued. So if you sell here and then you buy down here, you'd do better than 99% of people, right? And again, look where we were here. Price was at like $50. Then we went all the way down here. If you bought there and then sold here, right? And we went back up to almost all-time highs again. And then we went back down to monthly oversold. So again, if you just buy here, buy here, buy here, sell the rips, right? Buy the dips, sell the rips. A lot easier. It's very, very simple, but way easier said than done because people have emotions. And that's what the market is designed to make you do. Feel that some type of way. BMMJ, LOWL, and FIT leading the bull list on the US side of MJ. CCHW, Halo, and Acreage leading the decline. In terms of MSOS, we're still hovering well around that 550 mark. So again, I've been on record to say that MSOS could be a monster swing trade opportunity playing off $5 psychological. And here we are with a monthly inside bar. We started the monthly bounce last month. So if we break 637, we continue the monthly bounce for the second month in a row. I would say playing off $5 psychological could be one of the best swing trades of the year, and a very low risk indeed, because it's traded on a U.S. major exchange, so it has influx to large capital, and you have a clear stop level. So 506, so you could set your stop at like 474, 444. Again, however much risk you want to take on is going to be decided by the amount of capital you're throwing at it. If you're putting $1,000, maybe you can take 10% or 20% downside risk. If you're throwing in $200,000, well, maybe you only want to risk 5% or 1 or 2%, right? To make upwards of, well, if we just go back to EMA from current levels, we just go back to EMA 12, that's 60% of upside. EMA 26 is 220% of upside. Just the price action resistance, that's 160% of upside. And the thing about these moving averages and exponential averages is we usually gravitate back toward them. We get above them, we come back down, we test them as support, we lose it as resistance, we come back, we test it as resistance, confirm it as resistance, we come back down, resistance, and then when we get above it, we confirm it as support, and then we start a new trend. We had the bear cross here with the EMA 12 above when the shorter term are above the longer term moving averages or exponential moving averages, and they cross, that's a bear cross, and then price went down. Now we could see a bull cross, price go up. And then on the daily time frame, we have a lot more data, right? So here we had a bull cross, lower time frame moving average below the longer term. then the shorter term above the longer term, shorter term below the longer term, go to cross, and then we see some upside, right? Same thing back here. Bull cross, bear cross. Not as much data on MSOS, but if we bring up, a name like CGC, for example, who's been trading for a long time, we can see here that bull cross, upside, bear cross, downside, bull cross, upside, bear cross, downside, bear cross, bull cross, bear cross. So now we're looking for that bull cross. And the great thing about it is this time around, if you pick names that are going to be here in 5, 10, 20 years from now, the next bull cross could be generational wealth, because we're now down on CGC, now down over 99%. Same thing happened to crypto. Most crypto is down 90 to 99%, and then they went on to create generational wealth, right? Bitcoin went from 3,000 to 70,000, and then some names like Doge, right, went from like a tenth of a penny to 73 cents, right? $1,000 into Doge turned into $500,000 in just over a year. So again, if that can happen to that, it can happen again. And it's not about dollar value, it's percentage value. Dollar value is irrelevant. Forget price, it's percentage. Always think in percentage, not dollars or price. Don't think of price, think of percentage. Replace price with percentage, and you'll probably, like I said, do better than 99% of people out there. So again, if anybody does have any ticker requests, just gonna have a sip of coffee here. If anybody does have any ticker requests, please let me know the ticker in the exchange. Or if you have any questions, want to pick my brain about anything at all, best practices, do's and don'ts, tips and tricks, whatever, let me know. I'm just checking in on the POW Group private community here as well, see if there's any news on the MJ News channel. Oklahoma medical MJ supply for exceeds demand, report says. And like I said, all these are pulled in. I have 3 or 4 different websites, or actually I think there's probably like 6 now, where I pull, there's a bot, so it's called PowBot, and then we pull these articles automatically, and then we do it for crypto as well. So you can see here, Bitcoin could soar 10x to 300,000, reckons XRP holders lawyer. And then we have general news, right? And then all this is done for you. So it's a one-stop shop news outlet where we have general news, real estate news, Forex news, crypto news, commodity news. It's awesome. I use this, if there was no members in POW Group, which there's like 50, if there was none, I would use this for the rest of my life. It's like it's the best thing ever. Slack, which is owned by Salesforce now, absolutely killing it. And if you want to learn more, check out powgroup.ca or pursuitofwealthgroup.com. Could care less if you join, but you probably won't regret it. And for like $10 a month or $100 a year, how can you go wrong when some other people are charging like $1,000 a year or $2,000 a year? All right, jumping in, the man, the legend, Raw. Thanks, I appreciate it, Jamlosi. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Let me know if I'm not pronouncing that right. But Jesse B wants to take a look at Tilray. Sure, I did go over Tilray a little bit. So a swing trade opportunity, like I said, you could play off weekly resistance breaking. So 163 is the level to be watching. You could set a stop by and then put your stop below 150. That's a nice swing trade opportunity where you could see potential for 20% of upside, maybe even 40% plus. But right at the moment, we're just completely like, we don't know where the bottom is at this point. But I did a video last week on this. I said weekly oversold could be the bottom indicator. And if you factor in that little bit of a wick there, we got pretty damn close. So weekly oversold could be our bottom indicator here. But again, because there's still so much uncertainty around MJ, we're not participating in the broader market rallies at all. There's no near-term catalyst in sight. We do have safe banking that could get a vote on the Senate floor at some point soon, but realistically any week. But it could be bad. It could be a bad outcome, and then we could get rescheduling, and then maybe even gets descheduled, and it gets rescheduled or even descheduled, right? Maybe it gets rescheduled to 3 or above, and then that'll solve safe banking as well, right? And then they can uplist to NYSE in the NASDAQ, forget 280E, all that stuff, depending on what it gets reclassified, rescheduled as. So that could be once maybe safe banking doesn't pass and everybody's like, oh, screw this, I'm done. And then we have another leg down and then the HHS comes back and they deschedule it or even reschedule it. And then that solves all their problems in one sweeping motion. That could happen, right? Exactly what most people don't think would happen. We'd see that last flush that I've been saying for, that last capitulative move where we see a V-shaped recovery and then we're off to the races, right? So that could happen. And then as well, there's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of federal excise taxes unpaid here in Canada and over 1,000 LPs. And there's tons of mergers and acquisitions. Tilray just acquired Hexo and that deal just went through. It's still trading on the TSX, but it has been delisted from the NASDAQ. But that should be delisted from the TSX in the next coming days. And then you know, with over 1,000 LPs, there's still tons of mergers and acquisitions, even with that acquisition of Hexo. Tilray now being the number one LP, well, they always pretty much were, but now they're the, the undisputed largest LP in Canada. Well, they even said they were looking to do more mergers and acquisitions. They did a $150 million convertible note offering. And they said, well, how come you didn't use your $400 million in cash? Oh, we're saving it for strategic and accretive mergers and acquisitions potentially. So even Tilray could acquire more companies. So what does that tell you? That more consolidation is needed in the space. So if more consolidation is needed in the space, there's hundreds of millions of unpaid federal excise taxes. There's over 1,000 LPs. What do you think is going to happen? We're probably going to have more people follow in the footsteps of Fire and Flower, where they either go insolvent, they go through creditor protection, or they just borderline go bankrupt, right? Or they mergers and acquisitions, and companies come in and they swoop it up for pennies on the dollar, right? As we know, Tilray is backed by Peter Thiel and Wall Street favorites, right? It's the poster child for the Wall Street favorites. So when you think about it, it makes sense. The JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs, the Vanguards, the BlackRocks, the Morgan Stanleys of the world, and the Peter Thiels, right? Thiel, I don't know how you say his last name correctly, but they're all backing Tilray. And then everything's down, and Tilray's going in and swooping up, getting things pennies on the dollar. And then it's all backed by all of these, huge sought-after investors and big Wall Street banks and financial institutions that run the world. Why do you think that is? It's because they're trying to kill all of the little players and then merge them all into the big one. And that's the big one being Tilray. Tilray, in my opinion, mark my words, I'll make the video if I'm wrong, but I always said Tilray and Hexo will be the top 5 global players, and now Tilray is Hexo because they bought Hexo. So my thesis is still correct, in my opinion. People say that, you were incorrect about Hexo, and I'm like, was I? I said they were going to be top 3, top 5, them and Tilray, and okay, I might have been wrong about them staying independent companies, but was I wrong about them being a top 5 global player? Absolutely not, right? I don't think so. Until, if Tilray goes bankrupt, okay, I'll make the video, or insolvent or whatever, but I don't see that being the case, right? And they, it's going to be a long time before they have to do a reverse split, and even if they did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. They still have to drop below $1, then trade below $1 for 30 days, then they get a 180-day warning, so 6 months before they have to do a reverse split. So it could be 8 months before they even are forced to do a reverse split, and by then we should see the market turn around. The only thing is the wild card is the broader market, because if the broader market starts to drop down to that 200 level, like I mentioned on SPY, and we go to monthly oversold on SPY, that's going to be bad for MJ. So hopefully we can get a nice catalyst and a nice run there to cushion the blow on some of our MJ names. But yeah, we're looking for a bottom to be set somewhere around 150 psychological is nice. Even CGC's at 50 cents. So 50 cents psychological for CGC. CGC from its February 21 highs, now down, like I said, over 99%. Tilray from its February 2021 highs, now down over 97%, almost 98%. So how much more real downside are we going to see from here? Again, if the bottom isn't already in, I think we could see potential for one more leg down. And then we're probably going to get safe banking vote. If that doesn't go through, then watch for HHS verdict by the end of the year. We already know that I did a video on that, and that Biden top official said that he expects HHS to come back with a verdict by sometime by the end of this year. And then we could rally all through 2024. So, yeah, I think we're closer to a bottom than most people think. Most people think it's going to be 2-3 years before we bottom out and start a new multi-year bull market. I don't think that will be the case. I think we're very, very close. If I'm in the camp of thinking we could see one more leg down, maybe 125, maybe even $1 on Tilray, and then again, if we see that V-shaped recovery and that hard and fast flush followed by a nice buy the dip opportunity, and we dip 10, 15% like in a matter of an hour or two, and then we rip back up and see 20% upside from there, and then a news catalyst. That could be our bottom, right? But again, I'm in the camp of I'm leaning bearish. I think we could see one more leg down, and then leading into the fall. We also have Florida potentially on the ballot for 2024. We have Maryland starting sales here at some point in July, I think, and then other individual states could legalize as well because of that seasonality. Usually in the summer, we see a summer lull, a drop off in activity in MJ, and then into the fall is where we start to see individual states legalizing or kind of sector catalysts or, just that seasonality that starts to change momentum back to the bulls. So right now it's all bears. And then, like I said, into the fall, I think we could start to see that momentum switch back to the bulls. And then I think into the end of the year here, we could see a nice rally. And then maybe even legalization of medical in the US. But as I've said for a while, I think safe banking or rescheduling is going to happen, or descheduling. One of those three things is probably going to happen so that the U.S. operators can uplist to the NYSE and the Nasdaq. Why? Because nothing happens in the world without BlackRock, Vanguard's, J.P. Morgan's, Morgan Stanley's, or the J.P. Morgan's, right? So nothing happens without those companies and the Goldman Sachs, right? So if they aren't involved yet, if they can't buy things because they're not on the NYSE and the Nasdaq, might you think that that's going to happen before full-blown legalization? I would think so, right? Because again, we can't have fair, orderly markets because that's just not the way the world works, right? The SEC says they try to create investor protection in fair and orderly markets. We know that that's the complete opposite. The goal of the SEC, there's a reason why they have the accredited investor status. It's not to protect you and me from losing our money because we're too dumb to choose what to put our money in. We can go to the casino, right? We can buy as much booze as we want, kill ourselves with poison, but we can't buy as much MJ as we want with medicine, right? There's never been anybody die of overdose of MJ, right? Right, but we have limitations on how much MJ we can buy. We have limitations on what stocks and cryptos and private equity and companies that we can buy. But we can go to the liquor store and drink ourselves crazy and spend our life savings on liquor and kill ourselves with poison. Or we can go to the, to McDonald's and eat poison there and chemical food and induced food. Or we can go to the casino and spend hundreds of thousands, remortgage our house and spend all of our money, life savings on casino, right? When we know that the casino, the house always wins. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the SEC is there to protect the incumbents. It's there to protect the elite. And they do not want you to be successful, right? The whole New World agenda with the World Economic Forum is you'll own nothing and be happy, right? So that's not the new thing. That's always been the game. It's get the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. That's all it's been, right? People think that this is some new thing, this new world order. It's like, no, that's been the game since day one. It's just people are finally starting to wake the hell up, smell the coffee beans. But yeah, like I said, it's going to be a while yet. We still drop into a monthly lower low until we can be confident that the bear market is over. We need to see golden crosses across the sector, which is the 50-day moving average below the 200-day crossing. So we're still multiple months, in my opinion, before we see that happen. And we need, not just on Tilray, we need to see that happen. We got very close back here in January, but we need this not just on Tilray. We need it on all American producers, all Canadian producers, retailers, ETFs. The more names that have golden crosses, the better. And then we need monthly uptrends to confirm. So we're dropping to a monthly lower low in a monthly downtrend. So we're not even starting the monthly bounce yet. To start the monthly bounce, we'd have to break 287. So we'd have to see this happen with a higher low and higher high. So we're at least 3 or 4 months away before be absolutely confident that a bottom is in right now, in my opinion. Do I think that it's very close? I do. But again, I still think we could see a little bit more downside, whether it be in this monthly candle or the next monthly candle. That remains to be seen. Anybody's guess is as good as mine. But like I said, I'm still in that camp. I think we could see a little bit more downside or sideways action for at least a month or two. And then we're going to see a massive move into the end of the year. And again, as time changes and as the chart changes and as data changes, we formulate our thesis after that, right? So again, with all things unchanged, that's my thesis. But again, every day that passes, the more data we get, the more things change, right? Or can change. In terms of the stochastic, we're close to seeing a bull cross there and the MACD starting to occur. We could see a bull cross there on the MACD over the next few weeks. So that's a little bit of glimmer of hope, but we're still well below that 10-week moving average. We're still bearish with the stochastic and the MACD, with the red above the black. So when that happens, that's perceived as bearish, right? Look what happened when the black was above the red here and then started to they crossed and it got above the red line, price started to go up. Look what happened when the black crosses the red and then goes down toward the 20 level. Then we start to see price go down. And then same thing with the MACD. Black above the red, bullish. Black crossing down through the red and then below the red, bearish. Because it's on the weekly time frame, it's even more bearish because of the longer term time frame. One thing I am looking out for here is the potential for these weekly moving averages to cross. And if these cross, that's going to be extremely bullish. When these cross on the daily time frame, the 50 and the 200 daily moving averages, that's called a golden cross and perceived as very bullish. Look what happened the last time we had that golden cross. Price was at about $7, went all the way up to $67. Then we had the death cross with the 50 shorter term above the 200 day, and the longer term price was at around $13 and went to $1.50. So if that happens, that could be major momentum and bullish upside from there, because we're even more beaten down than we were here. And it's been, the last time it crossed was in 2020, December of 2020, in the beginning part of 2021. So now we're even more beaten down, and it's been almost 3 years. And then again, whenever things are on the weekly time frame, it's even more bullish than the daily time frame because it's a longer term moving averages. It takes longer for these moving averages because they're lagging indicators, right? Because you have to put the price into them. So they catch up to the price. So we should see the price start to trend up as these cross, just like here, right? This didn't cross until after the price shot up. But as you can see, we started to curl, right? And then we came back down and tested it as support. We got above it, came back down, support, then we rock it, and then we cross, right? And because they're lagging indicators, and then we could even go back 5 years, right? On like a name like CGC. So we had the, that might not be the best one. Let's go Apple. So Apple, when this crossed bullish, it remained bullish, but price went down to like 34, and we're factoring in the split, all the way up to 184. Now we're seeing a bear cross, and we're going to all-time highs again. So this isn't looking good at all. Like the fact that Apple's at new all-time highs is concerning because, you know, could it go to 200? Yeah, it could. But like, are you going to try and squeeze out $15 on Apple to risk this thing going down to like 70 or $50 again? Because that's probably what's going to happen, right? We still haven't seen these move the 50 cross through the 200 weekly moving average. So when that happens, that's going to be the first time, well, realistically, since I can't even go back that far here on stock charts. But let's bring up, just for the fun of it, let's bring up Apple over here on TradingView. When was the last time we really broke down? It was 2018. So what was it, 2008? So we've pretty much been in an uptrend since then. Yeah, like we haven't really seen that much downside on Apple. That 60% there in 2008 was the biggest one, and then 2018 obviously was another big one. What do we have there? About 36%. And then from the high here to the low is around 33%, but now we're at a new all-time high again. And we're starting to see this hidden bearish divergence. Same thing happened on Tesla. Let's bring up Tesla. So what happened to Tesla on the monthly time frame? There's a monthly head and shoulders. We had the monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross, and it was a death cross. So again, what did I say at the beginning? Technical analysis doesn't always play out the way we expect, but when we have 7 out of 8 indicators that we follow that are generally pretty accurate, when 7 out of 8 are bearish and saying the same thing, well, that's more confluence, that's more conviction, that's more confidence that it's probably going to go a certain way. And then that death cross happened. We ended up going to 100, and then the head and shoulders target from the high to the low here was 85. And then we had the 0.786 there, retracement at 98.99. Then we had the bearish hidden RSI divergence with lower highs, lower lows, higher lows, higher highs in the price action. When that happens, that's called hidden bearish RSI divergence, and we can usually expect the price to go the other way. And then we went very close to monthly oversold. So again, now what happens on a name like Apple? Apple's doing a similar scenario where we have lower highs and lower lows, and then higher lows and higher highs on the price action, right? And we could maybe we even get as high as 240, right? Maybe we get completely parabolic here and we go to 230s, right? That could happen. And then we finally, or maybe what I would anticipate, I wouldn't expect the price to get there. What I would look for is the RSI. When the RSI hits that line, and RSI can get above that line, right? Because the monthly candle might not close. It might get above it, and then there's still 4 days left of trading days left in the candle, and then we have a huge massive sell-off, and then it prints below that, right? So that's why you got to be careful too. Is just because something's happening doesn't mean it's 100% believable, because that's what they call printing the technical pattern or that indicator. Printing means the candle is closed, and we started a new candle on whatever time frame, and we won't be confident that this monthly RSI is set until the end of this month at 4 days, and then we go into the next month, and then it could be, another 30 days, right? But I wouldn't be so much looking at price to hit that level. I'd be looking at the RSI, and that means from here RSI could go another roughly about 6%, and if we go 6% on the price, that'd put us at around 200 psychologically. What did I just say, right? We could go to 200, maybe a little bit above, 205, 210. People are like, yeah, this is awesome, right? We're going to 240, 250. And then we see the massive monthly oversold and reversal, right? But again, we don't know for sure, but we're starting to see, let's take a look at the death cross on Apple. We had the death cross back here, and then we had a golden cross, Now we could see another death cross again. And this time, if it happens, we didn't see that much downside. Some names like Netflix dropped like 80% in 6 months. And yeah, the higher the market cap, like, right, trillions of dollars for Apple, of course it's not going to drop 80% in 6 months because there's just so much market cap, right? But Apple, way back in the day, in the dot-com days, they even almost went bankrupt in 1997. If it wasn't for Microsoft giving them $150 million, which is a lot of money back then, they would have went bankrupt. Apple, selling legitimate products, not illegal drugs like MJ. And they almost went bankrupt, so what the hell, right? And then in the dot-com days, it dropped 85%, or yeah, almost 84%, right? But after that, we haven't seen it drop 84% because its market cap gets too big, right? The more money, the harder it is to drop it a certain amount, right? But I wouldn't be surprised if we dropped at least 60, 70% back down to these, March 2020. I wouldn't be surprised in the least if we drop below where we were in March of the C19 lows. And look, we're nowhere near monthly oversold, and I would say this thing's definitely going to monthly oversold over the next few years. Lots of experts saying it's the lost decade where we could potentially see massive downside, 1929 Great Depression style crash, maybe even the worst crash in stock market history, and then it would probably take like 10 years before we hit new all-time highs. So this could be the lost decade, they say. Doesn't mean that there won't be rips to sell, right? Dips and rips to sell, to buy and sell, but overall the macro trend will be down, and it'll probably take 10 years. Even in the dot-com days, how long did it take? Right from the peak there, it took 824 days to bottom. And then before we hit a new all-time high, it was another 581 days. So, or sorry, that was 85. My bad. 1996, there it is, right here. So from the high to the low was 1,126 days. So 1126. And then from the low there to a new all-time high was another 613 days divided by 365. So that was 4.76 years. So if it took 4.76 years, and we've really been in a bull market ever since then, it could easily be the lost decade where we have a new all-time high here, and then we hit monthly oversold as a potential bottom, maybe somewhere around, like I say, maybe around 50, maybe even 40. And then it could probably take, in my opinion, somewhere to, what did I say, SPY target was? Somewhere around the end of 2024. So if that's the case for Apple, that's about 519 days. It could easily be the lost decade right after this. So I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but some of these things just start to spark my memory, and it's a good learning opportunity for people that are looking to learn technical analysis and stuff like that. And it's just like knowing what happened in the past. The past doesn't always happen exactly the same in the future. Obviously, it's called the past, but we can look at how things reacted and use it as a gauge, right? That's why I have the SPY chart. What's the closest thing we have to the everything bubble of 2022 and 2023? The dot-com bubble. So why do you think I've been screaming from the rooftops about this, how eerily similar it is? Because it's the only thing we have closest to it, and it's very, very similar. Just the prices are different. What did I say earlier? Don't worry about price. It's percentages. It's all about percentages and ratios and Fibonacci's, right? Mathematical. That's all that is Fibonacci is just mathematical, formula. But all that to say, looks like we could see more downside. Bitcoin and high tide. Yeah, so I've done Bitcoin at the beginning. So if you want to go back and watch that, but yeah, Bitcoin is a daily bull flag as long as $28,922 holds. So if we lose that 0.32 fib, that's going to negate the odds of a daily bull flag. But if we hold that and then we break resistance there at 31,441, we confirm it. And then the target is 36,700-ish. So it's looking like we could see bullish continuation here on Bitcoin. And we know we have tons of companies. Valkyrie, we have BlackRock filing for a Bitcoin ETF. And then once one gets approved, do you think that that's going to be where it ends? There's a statistic that if BlackRock allocated 0.3% of its capital to the crypto, it could buy all Bitcoin remaining on exchanges and all XRP on exchanges, just with 0.3% of their capital. So what happens when the JP Morgans, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs, the Van Ex, the Citadels, right? Do you think we're just going to get one crypto ETF and then it's going to end there, right? No, there's going to be multiple, right? So yeah, I think Bitcoin could easily go to 100 grand. I think it could easily go to $200,000. But do I want to own it? No, not really. Because if it goes to 100 grand, that's not that much multiplier effect, right? We're at 30,000. Let's just zoom out here to the monthly time frame. We're at 30,000 now, and this is just a rough estimate. If we go to 100,000, like just so you can see it, right? That's only 31. That's only, what's going on here? Oh, I'm at 1 million. I was going to say that's not correct. So if we go from 30,000-ish, right, up to 100 grand, that's only, 230% ish. So that's $1,000 into like $3,000, right? Like you're only going to get 3 times your money, right? 30,000 to 60,000 to 90,000, right? So a little over 200%. So if you put $1,000 into Bitcoin now and it goes to $100,000, right? That $1,000 only turns into, best case scenario, 2,500. Like who really cares, right? So there's some other names that I'm more interested in. And even if it goes to $200,000, right? Like that's $1,000 that's not life-changing wealth unless you're putting in 100 grand or, $500,000 or something. But like names like XRP, right? That haven't hit their all-time highs yet, that hasn't hit their 3.618 extension, Fibonacci extension level from current levels. If it just does what Bitcoin and Ether did in their last bull market and hits their 3.618, that's 23x. That's $1,000 into $23,000. That can be generational wealth. If you don't like XRP, then go buy XLM. XLM, well, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. I'll never tell you to buy, sell, or hold. As always, do your own research. You got to buy something because you buy it. You want to buy it and you understand it and you've done your research, right? But even if XLM goes to its 3.618, that's 40x from here, $1,000 into $40,000, right? So that's where the multiplier effect and things start to get interesting. And then there's going to be ETFs for, other cryptos like Ether and, but I would say Ether could be the next to get sued by the SEC. So I'd be very, very careful with Ethereum. And even Gary Gensler, head of the SEC, said he believes that staking is a security, and now Ethereum's proof of stake. So, put 2 and 2 together. Might they get targeted next? Very possible. But yeah, Bitcoin is looking like it wants to see another leg up. High Tide, we can take a quick look at High Tide too. High Tide has been showing some weakness. It hasn't been looking that great actually on the weekly time frame, if I recall correctly. So yeah, we're just looking for a weekly higher low compared to 103, and we're not too far away from that $1 mark where we could potentially get a NASDAQ warning as well. We still have to trade underneath $1 for 30 days. So it's at least a month or maybe 2 before we even get that warning. And then they have 180 days to regain compliance. So then it'd be, 7-8 months, similar to Tilray, right? But monthly consolidation underway. Nowhere near changing the monthly trend at this point because we haven't even really started the monthly bounce yet. We're still in a monthly downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. And actually, it's a monthly bear flag. So we have the high, low, lower high. Again, let's draw it out again for everybody. And we have this downward sloping resistance here as well that we just haven't been able to break, right? We had that upper wick, but again, as we know, we got to wait till the candle prints. It got above it, but when it printed, it closed at 626. It got as high as 798, but closed underneath it, right? That's what I meant by printing. And then we had a weekly bear flag that was targeting $1. Look where we got, 103. So that weekly bear flag got met. Now I'll show you the monthly bear flag. So you go from high to the low. Anything under the 0.32 fib at 307 on that monthly bounce was a monthly bear flag. So then you take your trend line and you go from high to the low and you move that out to the 0.32 fib, and that gives you your monthly bear flag target. And then we can take a horizontal line and then, or ray, I like to use the rays, and then it says here this thing could be targeting 65 cents. So we could potentially see, and again, this is why I'm just leaning a little bit more bearish on MJ before. I think there could be a little bit more pain before we see some serious gain. But yeah, weekly bear flag was met, right? We had the 0.382 fib there at 307, or sorry, no, that's the monthly one. But there was a weekly one there. I deleted it. But yeah, we just take the on the weekly bear flag, it was high to low. See, it didn't get above the 0.32 fib. And then you take this high to the low, move it up to 0.32 fib. It said $1-ish. And that's exactly what we got. Now we're looking at the monthly bear flag with a target of about 65 cents. Don't hate me. I'm not the message. I'm just the messenger. So hate the message, not the messenger. I'm just saying, just because technical analysis says we're going to 65 cents, does that mean we're going there? No, we might not, right? Just because it said we were going to $1 when we were at $1.30, did that mean we were going to $1? No, but did we? Yes. So the odds were saying it was more than likely favoring that target, but again, didn't have to, but it did. Just like the monthly bear flag, we don't have to get there, but probabilities are saying that we could. Do I want it to go there? No. Do I want high tide to go to $12? Again, $20, $50? I'd love it to be $1,000, right? I wish I could come on here and tell you that all the indicators are saying $1,000 because I own high tide, full disclosure, but that's not what it's saying, right? I'll be glad to come on here and be Mr. Bull Moon Boy saying that we're going to $10 and $20 or whatever once the charts are saying that, but right now they're saying more downside. High tide on the weekly time frame, still below the 10-week moving average. This is what I was talking about. We had a bear cross of the stochastic with the black line crossing through the red, and we're seeing a bear cross of the MACD as well, and we're below the 10-week moving average. So this isn't looking good right now. And that could be coupled with broader market weakness as well. Could be safe banking rejection, and then we get rescheduling at the end of the year, and then everybody is caught off guard, and then we sweep the rescheduling or even descheduling fixes, uplisting, and the and 280E maybe all in one go. Who knows, right? That could happen. And then we get legalization of medical, and then full-blown legalization after all the the JP Morgans, the BlackRocks, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs get in, right? That's what I think is going to happen. Basically, how slimy can they make the market? That is what I believe in. Right? Because these people are not to be trusted. Like, we know JP Morgan has spoofed the gold and silver markets for decades. They've paid billions of dollars in fines for manipulating the markets. You don't think they're doing this to MJ? You don't think they're doing this to EVs? You don't think they're doing this to tech stocks? You don't think they're doing that to blockchain stocks, right? They're doing it to everything because they're criminals. They should be behind bars. And until these people start going to jail, nothing's going to change, right? Until the politicians, these corrupt politicians like Nancy Pelosi, best stock trader of all time, and her husband, right? Because they make laws that favor their trades, right? They're making the laws and they're allowed to buy stocks. A monkey could tell you that that's not ethical and should not be allowed, right? So until these politicians and these bankers that are manipulating these markets, right? Like, look at, if you and I did something even 1% of that degree, look at Sam Bankman-Fried, look at Do Kwon and some of these, Bernie Madoff, like some of these other people, they're looking at like lifetime in prison, right? Just with like $1 billion loss, or a company that is valued at a couple $1 billion and they go bankrupt. We're talking like trillions and trillions of dollars that BlackRock manages. I think it's like 10 trillion assets under management. And they're doing this and like politicians, right? Printing trillions of dollars, artificially propping up the market. Like, they should be in jail for the rest of eternity, right? Because it's literally insider trading at the highest level. But we're still stuck below this the 50 weekly moving average as well. Below the 10 week and the 50 weekly. If we can see 2, preferably 3 weekly candle closes over that 50 weekly moving average there at 142, I think we could easily see a move up to around $3 with a lack of resistance and some runway on the weekly moving averages on high tide. And then on the daily time frame, we're very close to a golden cross. Look what happened last time we golden crossed. Price was at $1.86, went all the way up to $13. Then we had the death cross, 50 above the longer term, the 200, crossed at around $6. Then we went to $1. Now we're seeing another potential for a golden cross. And the great thing this time is we're even more beaten down. So we could see an even bigger move and multiplier effect. But very, very close. High tide could see a golden cross over the next few weeks and maybe even a couple months. So it's looking pretty good. What's your opinion of DBX? I don't have any opinion whatsoever, actually. You're talking about Dropbox. Again, if you don't give me the ticker, but I think there's only one. Yeah, okay. DBX, yeah, Dropbox. I'd be careful. We're coming down out of daily overbought territory. Monthly time frame. We did confirm a monthly uptrend with a low high, a higher low, and higher high. So you could have went bullish at 22.33 breaking, because once we broke 22.33, we confirmed the monthly uptrend. And then from there, we've seen 20% of upside. So that was another good opportunity for a swing trade, similar to what I meant by TLRY. So TLRY has been consolidating on the weekly time frame now for 6 weeks. So if we break 163, you could go bullish, and then you could see about 20% of upside just to EMA 12. So it could be a similar scenario as DBX. Like I said, if you just went bullish and long on a break of 22.33, that was monthly uptrend confirming. And another example is Tesla. So Tesla confirmed the monthly uptrend, and look at the continuation. It had low, high, higher low, and higher high. So once we broke 217.65, that confirmed the monthly uptrend. Even if you went bullish there, that was 25% of upside. Again, if you're confirming an uptrend on a higher level time frame, being like the monthly, you can then the percentages are way higher, right? That we're going to go a lot more percentage higher. If this is an uptrend on the 1 minute time frame, well, we might only expect upside of like 1%, right? But it's on the monthly time frame, it's like, okay, 10 or 20%, right? But yeah, DBX, I'd be cautious on this one. We do have we had resistance there at 25.81 and then 25 psychological. And here we are again. Remember what I said, we can get above it, we can get above resistance, but where do we print the candle? We still got 4 days left. So watch, if we close under 25, that'll be bad. And then I think we could start monthly consolidation, then look for a higher low compared to 1955. So if it were me and I was looking for an entry, we could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross here on the monthly time frame, which would mean more upside. But again, if we close above 25.81, that'll be very bullish, this monthly candle. But again, why would you want to go chasing if you're not already in? I'd be cautious, because we've already, from the low there, we're now up 41%. So I'd be looking for more or less like a monthly higher low, or at least daily oversold. And we did have that volume climax there as well, that bear volume. Check that out. And then here we are starting daily consolidation. Haven't started weekly consolidation yet, and we haven't consolidated since 1955 on the weekly time frame. Look, higher low every single candle, every weekly candle for 8 weeks in a row, 56 days, higher low, higher low, higher low. We haven't lost the low of the previous. So this is going to be a monster short opportunity. If we lose 25.62, that'll be the first time in 8 weeks and 2 months. And then just to EMA 12, that's about a 7% short opportunity, 10% to EMA 26. And then if we go back to our support, that's almost 25% short opportunity. And we could pull back 25% and still be in a weekly uptrend. Low, high, higher low, and higher high. So this is why technical analysis is great to learn, because what would be the talking heads be saying if we drop 10, 20% from here? They'd be like, oh, Dropbox is the worst. It's terrible, it's weak, it's, you know, there's nothing to see here. But then you'd be like, oh, okay, well, the chart says we're still in a weekly uptrend. You dunst. Right? Yeah. Just tune out. If you're watching mainstream media, only watch it to do the contrarian move. That's what I do. It's kind of funny, actually, just like listening to like Jim Cramer, just how dumb he sounds. Like, it's like you've been doing this for your whole life, like your whole adult career, and you're this freaking bad. Like, it has to be by design. He can't be that bad and have a TV show, right? He's news for the masses, not news for the classes. That means he wants you to do exactly the opposite of what you should be doing, right? And that's why there's an inverse ETF, Jim Cramer ETF. If you just do the opposite, you're a winner, right? It's because the markets, if that doesn't tell you that the markets are manipulated, and the powers that be, and the Wall Street banks and the hedge funds and the institutional investors and the government doesn't want you to succeed, then I don't know what else will, because they're allowing it to happen. They're allowing this clown to have a television program to tell people, and he's basically giving financial advice that is terrible advice, right? And yet they're allowing that to happen. Why? Because they want you to own nothing and be happy. They want you to be poor. They want to be richer, right? That's why I'm glad I have the platform that I have, so I can come on here and teach people about, you know, how much bullshit this is, right? For lack of better words. All right, gonna start speeding it up here. We're over an hour. Holy crap! I wish, you know, school, like elementary school, went by this quick when I was in school. Holy Hannah. 1 month time frame. SNDL dropping to a lower low. Could see a reverse split again. I already did a 1 for 10, but again, just like Tilray, just like High Tide, we'd still have to drop below $1 for 30 days, 30 trading days, not just 30 days, 30 trading days. And then we would have a warning, then 180 days to regain compliance, so 6 months, so at least 6-7 or at least 7 to 8 months before we would ever see a reverse split or possible delisting. No way it's going to get delisted, in my opinion. But yeah, new all-time low. Fun time to be an MJ. But yeah, is that a monthly bear flag? Let's find out. Fibonacci, low to the high. Let's get rid of this one because it's confusing. Okay, I got a lot of stuff going on. Let's go delete all this. So you go from high to the low. It is a monthly bear flag. Uh-oh. So high again. Adding more again. If multiple charts in MJ are saying, oh, the multiple bear flags saying lower, might we go lower? Probably. But if there's multiple bull flags saying higher on a ton of different names, might we be going higher? Probably. But unfortunately, I wish I could say it was all bull flags, but it's bear flags. And right now, it's saying that we could be targeting a monthly bear flag of 80 cents on SNDL. And that would make sense, right? That could be a nice flush, right? And then people have stop losses just under $1, and then they enter, playing off dollar psychological. Then we drop, down to like 85 cents, 80 cents. That could be our bottom. That'd be a nice, that would have like a nice schematic and blueprint for, what usually happens in the past, right? Usually these bottoms are hard and fast flushes and like very key supports, psychological supports, and usually in a drawn out bear market. And we've been in a drawn out bear market, but we still haven't seen that hard and fast flush and recovery. We just keep flushing and then just sideways or like a little bit of a bounce and then another leg down. What I want to see is something like this, where we're trending, a little bit of a bounce. We didn't even get above any of these resistances or this resistance here or this resistance here. Just keep sucking and, just boring action, lower high, nothing. But I mean, in terms of percentage, it was quite high, but just nothing, didn't even get above the EMA 26. And then we have a hard and fast flush and then a V. And then we break all resistances in one go, right? That's what I'm looking for a bottom. But yeah, in order to confirm this monthly bear flag, we needed to lose the low at 129, and today we hit 125. So what does that tell you? It tells you that the monthly bear flag is confirming today. Was it today? 126. No, it was Friday. So it happened on Friday. So now we take the measured move from high to the low, we move it to the 0.32 fib, and then it's saying we could be targeting 80 cents. And we're confirming it, so from here, from that low, we could still drop another 36%-ish. So yeah, it's not looking too good right now. And again, why I'm a little bit more bearish in the short, medium term. And we're not looking good here. Similar to high tide, bear cross, stochastic, and the MACD, and well below the 10-week moving average. So all indicators are saying more pain. And we're quite a ways away from a golden cross as well, at least a few weeks, couple of months. But it is looking like a bottom could be close. You say it correctly, but you can call me Jam if you want. It's easier. Okay, sounds good. We'll do Jam. All right, I really appreciate your channel. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate you coming on and participating. I really do appreciate all the support. It means a lot. Like I said, getting very close. I think I'm at like 497,000 views on the channel, so getting really close to the 500,000 mark, and I really do appreciate it. Definitely wasn't easy, and you have your fair share of trolls and haters and all that good stuff, but at the end of the day, you guys and gals who are supportive make it all worthwhile. And don't worry, I'm built for it, mentally and emotionally. Not MJ or crypto, but any thoughts on PYPL or SQ? Yeah, so we're looking at like payment companies, right? So PayPal, I was very bearish on PayPal for a while because we hit, monthly oversold. We had the same thing as Tesla. We had hidden bearish RSI divergence on PayPal, right? Where we had lower highs, lower lows, and then higher lows, higher highs on the price action. Usually when that happens, it's just a matter of time before we see it go the other way. And then sure enough, from the high to the low, it dropped 77%. Oh, wait, is this an MJ stock? Is this a crypto stock? Is this crypto? Is this MJ? Why is it down 80% in like a year? Oh, because all investments are risky. It's not just MJ and crypto. Even PayPal can drop 80%. Let's just bring up Netflix, NFLX. Netflix. 182 days in 6 months dropped almost 77% from monthly overbought to oversold. Yeah. It'll happen in every sector, every industry, every, it's going to happen. It'll happen now. It'll happen again. It's happened before. It'll happen again. It'll happen 10 times more, right? In every sector, just given enough time, right? But yeah, PYPL, dropping to a monthly lower low, monthly lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So this was actually a big old monthly bear flag. But it probably isn't going to play out, I wouldn't think. Maybe. Again, probabilities. But yeah, it's saying we could go to 33 bucks on this monthly bear flag. And it is confirming. Once we lost the low there at 67.58, it confirmed it. So, yeah. And it was a pretty crappy bounce, like a pretty weak bounce at that, right? Anything under 157 was a monthly bear flag. We only got as high as 103. And then 100 psychological being the resistance there. Look where we closed. 93. So again, after what did I say earlier? It's not so much about what the wick says, it's when we print it, when we close it. And then we closed below 100 psychological key resistance level, and then from there we dropped another 35%. And it's saying that from current levels we could still drop another 43% from that monthly bear flag target. But again, that would put us at a new all-time low. I don't think that would happen. Could happen. You need to be prepared for it. Now that the charts are telling you that it could happen, you need to be prepared for it. But again, it can go up, down, or sideways. So maybe you save a little bit more money, or you don't enter as quickly as you thought you were going to, right? Because of the chart saying that. But yeah, monthly, not looking too good. Daily time frame, we are in a daily uptrend with the low, high, higher low, and higher high. Now we're scouting at a higher low compared to 62. So this could be our higher low here at 65.85, but we need to start the daily bounce and break the high of the previous daily candle to indicate that that is set, and then change the hourly trend. If we change the hourly trend back to an uptrend, and we're in a clear downtrend, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, we can get back into an hourly uptrend with a high, higher low, and higher high, then we'll be confident that the daily higher low is set, but there's no confidence in that being set yet. But key support there at 62.43. If we lose that, then we'll probably start weekly consolidation. Yep. 65.85 actually is weekly consolidation. And then we would look for a higher low compared to 58.95. We're still in a weekly downtrend, so we would look for that weekly higher low and higher high. So it's just one time frame at a time, right? Daily uptrend is intact. So now we'll watch for weekly consolidation, then a weekly higher low and higher high. We're in a weekly uptrend, then we zoom out to the monthly. Then we look for a monthly bounce to get underway, and then a higher low and higher high. Same thing, right? More uptrends we have on all time frames, the better, and the higher the time frame, the better, right? Or if it's a downtrend, if it's on the monthly time frame, that's even worse, right? So same thing with SNDL. When it had its, and in PayPal, its monthly bear flag, that's bad. If it was a 1 minute bear flag, well, we wouldn't really care. It might drop 30 cents, right? $1. But when it's on the monthly time frame, could drop $10, could drop $20, right? But yeah, it's still pretty bearish. And that's to be expected after a massive move, right? Like it went up 800%. So $1,000 into $800 or $8,000, right? And then Square, similar thing, down over 80%. That looks like an MJ stock. Looks like a crypto, right? But SQ showing a little bit more strength here. We could change the monthly trend. And it's even a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here that's forming. And if we take the measured move of the head and shoulders, you're looking at about a move, using the real candle body, you're looking at about a move to 136. And in order to confirm that, you'd have to break the high there at around 90 bucks. I want to see us break 90 bucks to confirm, or you can use the wicks. So that would be 93.19 to confirm it. But yeah, we go to 136. That's about 118, 119% from here. But again, that's only $1,000 into $2,000. So it's not that great risk versus reward. Just, again, depending on how much money you're going to put. I think there's better risk versus reward out there. But we did lose the daily uptrend. We had actually a daily downtrend confirm, lower high and lower low, and then we broke the daily downtrend, but then we went back into daily consolidation and lost the low there, and then we could see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross. So we're looking for support there at 57.78 to potentially come into play soon. But yeah, Square looking a little bit better than PayPal, not going to lie, because we're looking for this monthly higher low. If that low there at 51.34 holds, 52-week low, if that holds, we could get a monthly uptrend similar to what Tesla did. So if we break 89.97, that'll give us a monthly uptrend. That could be a nice entry level to go long as well. Or you could, if you're a little bit more aggressive, you could enter now with a stop below the low there at 51.34 or even 50 psychological, right? You could set a stop at like $49 or $48. And then essentially you'd be risking That's 20%, so that's still a lot. So maybe you don't want to go all in. Maybe you want to take a scale in approach. You enter a little bit now, a little bit closer to $55, a little bit closer to $50, and then play off 50 psychological. And then maybe get your cost basis down to around $55. And then at that point, you're only risking, 10% versus 20% to make, if we go back to where we thought we were going to go, that's about a 60% of upside from here, or 80%. Or to price action resistance, that's 170%. So those are good risk to reward ratios, right? But anyway, gonna move on. Hopefully that helps though. And then you get that clown DeSantis, that's what I'm calling him now, saying that it could kill people if they decriminalize it. Yeah, he's an absolute numbskull. Like somebody, oh man, yeah, I can't even think of it. That just hurts my brain. Breaking yet another lawyer withdrawals from the Ripple lawsuit versus the SEC. Some speculating that it could be coming to a close because if there's a settlement or a verdict coming soon, why does the lawyer need to be there? So some are speculating that could happen as well. Just give me 1 second here. I'm looking through the news that just came out in the Power Grid private community here, but I posted it. Where did I put it? Right here. Oh, God. So, yeah, I wasn't the only one taking shots at DeSantis. I was chirping him in my last video and live stream. But I like this Robert F. Kennedy Jr. This guy's pro-crypto. He actually knows what he's talking about. He doesn't call it like the crypto or the Facebook. Like he's actually intelligent and spent 20 minutes or like a couple hours researching. But yeah. And like these people aren't dumb, right, in Congress and stuff. They know it's Facebook. It's not the Facebook. It's not algorithm. What's an algorithm? Like they know this stuff. They're just playing political theater. They're just being an idiot on purpose, right? Like the Schumanator of the world. Like, it's just all an act, right? You can't. They literally have hundreds of millions of dollars funding their campaigns and like thousands of people working for them that have like PhDs and like literally study this all in, and they have teams and teams of people and departments of people. You don't think that they know what's going on? They're just choosing to do this because it's a narrative or it's playing into a certain agenda, right? But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. takes hit at DeSantis over MJ decriminalization opposition, but declines to smoke joints with Bill Mayer. Well, you don't need to smoke a joint for us to like you. Just don't post stupid things like DeSantis. Like, oh, I wouldn't decriminalize it. Oh, well then why were you even running for president? Because you apparently are running to represent the American people, and overwhelming majority of people, like 3/4 of people in the U.S. want it not just decriminalized, they want it legalized at the federal level. And you're going to go out in here and run for president? Like, if this guy makes presidency, I will literally, what's something absurd I could do? I will, I don't know, shave my head on a live stream. Because if the guy makes president, like, there's no way in hell, like, there's just no way in hell that guy's getting voted in. Because, like, again, it's probably a certain agenda, right? He's probably hired by, like, the pharmaceutical companies and all these lobbyists that are incumbents that are getting, the opioids and all these pharmaceutical companies that are going to get negatively impacted by MJ. So he's probably put in there and funded, campaigns probably funded by these pharmaceutical companies, knowing that he's not going to win, but just to continue to beat down MJ and to drive a narrative so that they can come in and buy things on the cheap, right? And these pharmaceutical companies are getting big into MJ as well, right? Like I used to work for a pharmaceutical company, and like for like 6 months to a year, it was like they didn't talk about anything about until they, like, the major focus was getting their MJ license, right? From Health Canada. That was the number one priority when it got legalized, was getting that license. So why do you think they're doing that if it's just, if it's not worth anything, right? And why was that like the number one priority for them for like a good year period, right? Might you think because they think it's the next big thing, right? It's the biggest threat, right? So yeah, this guy actually knows common sense, and this DeSantis guy, just what a clown. He even looks like a clown. Got the red rosy cheeks, give him a little bit of white paint there, and yeah, boom, clown. Hello everyone. Hello Calvin. Welcome. Anybody know why CGC has a big jump this morning? I don't think it had a big jump. Oh, close flat on the day. It just barely broke the high of Friday. Yeah, it only broke the high of Friday by like a 1.5%. So definitely not a big bounce. It's actually a daily bear flag. So you take the high to the low. Anything under 60 cents is a daily bear flag, and we need to get above 60 cents to negate it, and we need to lose 50 cents to confirm it. And then the measured move, you're looking at about a drop down to about 40 cents. So again, tons of bear flags out there in MJ land. Yeah, definitely nothing to see there in terms of bounce. I wouldn't even bat an eye at it. We are seeing pretty decent sell volume here though. So we'll be watching for a volume climax soon, but no indication of it yet. Jam says, until you see these bankers nailed to big wooded crosses, nothing is going to change. Yeah, like they need to be publicly shamed, humiliated. They need to go to jail. Their relatives, you know, like Bill Hinman, who worked for the SEC, who said that Ether, he said, ignoring the fundraising, ignoring the ICO, the public offering. Like, why are you ignoring that in the first place? Then he's making up factors. He's calling it the Hinman test. And once a crypto becomes sufficiently decentralized, it is no longer under the Howey test. Well, you're an idiot because you don't make the laws. You're an unelected bureaucrat, right? You are not even a politician. You're an unelected bureaucrat. And you're taking case law that's literally decades old. What was it, in the 70s? Howey, like it's 70 years old or something like that, 70, 80 years old. So he's taking the Howey test, which is law, which is case law. And then Congress painted it with a broad brush, like what is a note and things like that, right? And the Howey test. And then here comes Bill frickin' Hinman, who says, oh, well, ignoring the fundraising. And we now think it's fully decentralized or decentralized enough where it's no longer a common enterprise. So he's making up the law. He can't create the law. And then it was later found out that his son worked for a company that involved, and he was a member of the firm, his law firm that he worked for, Bill Hinman, is a member of the Ethereum Alliance. So he has skin in the game, and he's getting paid $15 million to promote that. And then his son worked for, I forget the name of the company, I think it was like Plug and Play or something. And his son, and then in that company, Plug and Play, was Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum. And he actually got the idea of smart contracts and Ethereum from Ripple because he worked at Ripple. And he got the idea of smart contracts, and then Ripple didn't do that, but smart contracts is coming to Ripple now through Corium, and all these other multi-layer, solutions. But the long story short is, Bill Hinman's son had skin in the game as well, right? So no wonder he was promoting. He even called it the Ether speech. And then, in the Hinman docs got released in the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, those documents got released, and after those, or as those documents got, the judge ordered that those documents were going to be unsealed and made public, they removed Bill Hinman's bio from the SEC. So basically, they're going to throw him under the bus probably, and he's probably lawyering up like crazy. He's got that $15 million a year from the Ethereum free pass that he benefited from. So surely he can probably afford $1 million or $2 million for a lawyer, right? But he broke the freaking law. That guy should go to jail. His son should go to jail. I don't advocate for people to go into jail, but if you or I did that, we'd be in jail for, like, no question the rest of our lives. And this guy was a government official that was paid for by our dollars, right? He's getting paid to represent us, and we pay his salary. And he's crafting laws. He even made Alibaba IPO happen. He even came back from leaving the SEC just to make sure that the Ripple lawsuit got filed. Why? Because they were the biggest competitor to Ethereum. Like, it's so bullshit. And then it said in the Hinman documents when they got released that he's like, even internal SEC and lawyers that were advising him on the speech, they didn't even call it the Ether speech originally. It was just the whatever speech. And then he changed it into the Ether speech and only mentioned Bitcoin and Ethereum. He didn't even have to mention anything. He could have just left any name out and just said, when cryptos do this, we have a new construct. But no, he didn't do that. And then, even after going against what the SEC and what former SEC officials were telling him and what lawyers were saying, this isn't in line with the law, this isn't how he said, he ignores it And he said, oh, well, let me reach out to Vitalik Buterin, the creator of Ethereum, and see if it's actually decentralized. Like, how fucking dumb is that? Like, excuse my French, but it's so blatantly obvious how corrupt this is and how, what a joke the financial system really is. And like, I can't wait to have kids of my own where I can like teach them, you know, how corrupt this is, because they never taught me that. I wish somebody would have taught me this when I was 18, 19, or even earlier. And then once you start to really like, who was it? What was it? I can't remember who makes Advil. Was it Pfizer? I didn't even know who Pfizer was until the C-19 happened. And then if you start to really look into it, like the whole world's run by really a select few individuals. It's like, what company runs the world? Just Google that. BlackRock, right? Who are the 7 owners of BlackRock? Right? And then if you dive into all this, and then like it's all tied back to the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the JP Morgans. It's just they do it through so much red tape, and they bore the hell out of you, and they do it over a span of 50 years, and then it gets lost in translation, right? And people just forget about it. But yeah, it's just. But again, we can't beat them, so you got to join them, and well, not join them, but join the idea, join the narrative, and then we can set ourselves free and our families free, and then we can use that for good. And hopefully, with enough time elapsing, like you say, get these people behind bars, nail them to a wooden cross, whatever you got to do, humiliate them, shame them on public television, and put them in jail for the rest of their life. Nothing's going to change, and our politicians need to do so as well. Like they're not innocent, and there's tons of examples of it. So, can you see the bottom on CGC yet? No, not yet. Like I said, that daily bear flag still potentially seeing 40 cents, and lots of bear flags among the sector. So I think it could be another few weeks or a couple months at this point. Hope I'm wrong on that though. But yeah, it's getting close, I think. SoFi going to be profitable by the end of the year. That's my big 6-month play. Got in at $6. Very nice. I hope you're right. Wishing you all the best. I really enjoy your channel. Keep up the good work. Thank you for doing such a great job covering the MJ space. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. No problem at all. I'll be covering it until, the day I die. So I'm not going anywhere. I am Mr. MJ Bull, and I feel like it was my purpose. Like I was put on this earth to spread the MJ gospel, and it's medicine of the future. I think it really is the best industry in the world, and it's just so much fun covering the space, even in a bear market where most people are hating their lives and having a terrible time. I love it. I love it. More opportunity to accumulate. What I really hope is that MJ remains low in price until alt season happens, and then my crypto bags pump. I unload, take profit. I'll have my long-term crypto that I'm not going to sell, but I'm hoping that my short to medium-term bags, I'll be able to unload that in the next alt season and the next crypto bull run, which I think we're going to see one more big run before a massive multi-year bear market. And then after that big run in crypto, I'm going to take profit and then hopefully roll it into more beaten down MJ. That's been my plan for at least a year and a half now. But yeah, I love it. It's not, doesn't even feel like work. SoFi, Palantir, yeah, and like Palantir is big. Peter Thiel as well, and as we know, Peter Thiel backs Tilray, and pretty much anything he touches goes to gold. He co-founded PayPal. He's a big investor in Palantir, Facebook, SpaceX. So yeah, I mean, if he's behind SoFi, then it's probably going to do well. Probably going to be very, very successful in 5, 10, 15 years. And again, like Peter Thiel and PayPal's mission back in like 1998 was to create a global peer-to-peer permissionless decentralized currency. Sound familiar? Kind of sounds like Bitcoin, or kind of sounds like cryptocurrency. How did they know that back in 1998? It's like it just takes, again, they do it over decades so that people forget. They even had PayPal Galactic for the longest time, and then they got rid of that. And then Ripple comes along shortly after. And what did Ripple said they were going to do? Make a dent in the universe. What's on Stellar XLM's website? A galaxy. oh, so maybe PayPal Galactic became, and the PayPal mafia has its hands all over the crypto sphere. So maybe PayPal Galactic became Ripple and XRP and XLM, which is, I think. And DAI was the one who really put that connection together. Makes all the sense in the world to me. Reread it. I said DeSanta. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he kind of, resembles a clown, so. And guess what 75% of Florida want it decriminalized? Yeah. It's like, give the people what they want. Stop being a clown. Get the hell out of here. If you don't get anything that, if you don't have the people's heart, majority of the people's heart in mind, and like what they want, come on there and push a 25% narrative, or like, I would say it's even less than that. Like if I went into the U.S., like other than like borderline, like boomer, redneck, like, okay, maybe there is 20-25% of people like Texas, like, like older people that are, super diehard redneck, they might not want MJ legalized. But I mean, it's got to be 75-80% of people, I would think, that want it legalized. I'm sorry I trigger you, but I get mad at these losers too. Yeah, I mean, it's, unfortunately, we can't, there's nothing we can do, really. Like, even as voters, like, if the two elected officials, whether it be, and I'm not going to get political because that's not about what I'm about, I could care less. I hate politics. I don't even follow it because I hate it. I think it's all nonsense anyway. Like, remember when Biden and Trump were the people to pick from? It's like, this is supposed to be a democracy. I don't want either. And it's like, well, that's your only choice. It's like, oh, well, they both suck, so can I have an option C, please? It's like, nope. Okay, well, that's not really a democracy in my opinion because I don't want either of them. They both suck, right? And it's like here in Canada, it's like, if, it's liberal and conservative, the two main ones. And then you got Democrats and Republicans, right? Two main ones. And like, it's all shady, right? Like, how do we even know that they were there ethically and like legitimately? Like, we don't, right? Like, there's so much stuff going on. Like, even during the Trump thing, it's just like, it all hurts the head so much. I just can't wait until the time where, good and logic and, like ethical and intellectual honesty is the norm. Like, why does lies and deceit and intellectual dishonesty and criminal activity and evil have to be at the forefront in our financial system and in our political system? Why can't it be good? And like, I guess I know why, because of power and money and greed, right? That's way stronger than the alternative. So it is what it is. But as I get closer to my goals and financial goals and my wealth goals, I'm getting to the point now where I don't really care. I'm just gonna try and help my friends and my family and help educate them and help set myself free. Like, I would consider myself pretty much freed, but from the rat race, I guess, the financial rat race and the life rat race. But I want to do well for my kids. I'm not gonna like spoil my kids or anything. I want to teach them values and morals and hard work. But you got to work smart before you work hard, and then just tune out all of this stuff. I can't wait and like just only make MJ content. That's pretty much what I'm going after, right? Because I'm not that passionate about crypto. I like crypto. I'm a tech guy. I like crypto, but I know it's the government. They created it. They created it after the financial crisis. They 100%. PayPal's mission was literally Bitcoin in 1998. Elon Musk left PayPal and got fired from PayPal. They took his idea and they ran with it. And the NSA probably created Bitcoin and crypto. So like, do I really want to support that? No, I'm just going to make my money, get out, and then I'm going to focus on medicine in the future and what I'm actually passionate about, which is MJ. And, not to say that there's not bad actors in this space, but I want to do what I want to do, and that's going to be, like interviewing MJ companies, learning more about the plant and how it has medical benefit, how it can help people, and, how we can really change people's lives from a health perspective, people who are suffering and, extending people's lifespan and things like that, right? Like, all this crypto stuff and this TradFi, this traditional finance, so depressing, right? It's no wonder people don't stick to it, because it's so overwhelmingly like evil, that it's not even funny. And like I said, MJ, you're gonna have your manipulation there as well, but I just can't wait to do what I love doing, and that's like product reviews and interviewing companies and learning more about companies and learning more about the plan, how this can help people, and getting the word out about, the medicine in the future. That's my goal long term. I mostly judge my stocks by earnings and growth, and usually have mid to long term outlook. It's interesting getting your perspective on what the charts are saying. Yeah, I mean, so you're like a value investor, right? So you're like a number cruncher. You're like I would guess that you're probably a higher aged person. So I would say you're probably like mid 40s, mid 50s, if I'm right, because you're probably taking like a value approach with like a Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, or something like that. Or maybe you're not. Maybe I'm completely wrong. And some people, doesn't mean just because you're a value investor doesn't mean you're that demographic, right? But most people are, like the overwhelmingly majority would be, because that's old school thing. But like if you think about it, and that's great. Like yes, you can take numbers and things like that. Like if you were valuing a grocery chain, and it was a new grocery chain, I would be like, okay, value investing all the way. But if you're talking about highly growth and speculative industries like crypto or MJ or blockchain or electric vehicles, you can't really use the original principles that like value investing, right? Or like a franchise, right? Whereas, and like MJ is an illegal substance, right? It's on the same list as heroin. So like to look at numbers now would be a lie. You'd be looking at numbers now and it would just be a lie. Like, because like there's so much growth, like you can't possibly have everything you need to know in those numbers now to make a hypothesis for the future, right? You just don't know. Like for an example would be when I was telling people how bullish I was on Tesla in 2018, I got laughed at, ridiculed, and they, people were sending me articles from CNBC saying, "Oh, Tesla's doomed. It's the SEC is suing them. They're going to go bankrupt. They don't make any money. They're losing money. They make less cars in a year than Toyota makes in a month." And then what happened? Now they're worth more than Toyota, Honda, and all the other companies combined. And now they're the leader, right? So if you just were looking at the values, or if you were taking value investing principles for Tesla, you would have missed it. Even Warren Buffett missed Amazon, Apple. He missed Bitcoin, still calls it rat poison. I think that's all a farce. I think it's a facade. I think he's a big investor in Bank of America, and Bank of America is big into crypto. So he's indirectly investing. He's just, he doesn't want it to succeed because he's big on banks and he just doesn't understand technology, right? But that doesn't mean he's a bad investor, or that people can't make money off technology or crypto or blockchain, right? So all I would say is life for me is about balance. And yes, numbers matter. And yes, like revenue and EBITDA and cash flow, free cash flow, price to book, price to earn, like all those metrics that we use to value a company, because price is really irrelevant. Like a price of a stock has no, like that does not give us any indication of whether it's intrinsic value or if it's undervalued, overvalued. Like that's just numbers on a screen. But in life, it doesn't matter what it is: finance, relationships, health, wealth, anything. Sports, you can apply it to anything. It's all about balance and learning, like you could say that, I'm a musician. I learn guitar. I don't like to learn any theory though. I like to learn. I learn by my ear, and I'm really good at learning by ear, and I can play. I can hear something. I can play it. It's like, yeah, but if you took a more balanced approach, that's great, because some people can't do that at all and play by ear, so that you're ahead of the pack there. But imagine if you just also coupled that with some theory, right? And you take a balanced approach. I think there's nothing in the world that you could not say that, taking a balanced approach would be worse than not taking a balanced approach, right? Like everything in life, as long as you're balanced, not get too high, not get too low, not go too far right, not go too far left, but try to always stay centered. Try to always ground yourself to the center, right? Always. And I learned that in sales, right? I used to work in sales, and I hated sales because I don't like selling people on stuff. It's just not in my nature. people want to do what I want to do and want to buy what I'm selling, then great. But I'm not going to convince people to do it. Like, I care less. But at the end of the day, you start to learn all these things, right? And that's all life is just learning and being able to go back to the center, right? And not get too bullish, not get too bearish, not get too on one side of the fence, right? Just try to always remain unbiased, and you know, we always have a tendency to get biases, but you know, again, it's about being balanced, and you can apply it to anything in life. And I can't wait to instill that knowledge and you know, life strategy, basically to my kids and stuff, right? Because, you know, it's how I was raised, and not to get too high, not to get too low, and take the good with the bad. And you can't have, you know, you can't have all good, you can't have all bad, right? So just take it for what it is. But like you know, like I said, not knocking value investing. It's not really my favorite. But like I'll definitely be the first to say that, yeah, once things have hit like especially like electric vehicles, once they hit critical mass, once they've hit a point where, you know, the adoption curve, right? Once they've hit critical mass, like tech stocks in the 1990s and the 2000s, they didn't hit critical mass. They didn't hit their, you know, they hadn't gone through the full adoption curve yet. But now, and applying value investing back then didn't make any sense either, right? Because the internet was just getting started. We didn't know what the internet was going to be, right? And now we have Web3 and blockchain and AI and all these other things that are built on top of another layer of the internet. And we couldn't even have possibly saw that coming, right? And then cell phones and Uber, you can just hail a cab in 3 seconds, right? And now with tech stocks, value investing makes more sense because like we pretty much peaked in terms of growth. But then we had Web3 and blockchain and AI and, you know, all this VR, AR as things come along. And now we're like, holy crap, like we thought we were done growing, but like we're actually like not even close. This could be the biggest growth curve yet for tech stocks, right? And that's why you're seeing Apple at all-time highs and things like that. But as we know, it's probably just going to be a matter of time before, you know, gravity, what goes up must come down, what goes down must come back up. So as things get more adopted and, you know, have, you know, a bigger market cap and things like that, and, you know, hit critical mass, then we can start to apply more numbers-based things to it. But like even Apple almost went bankrupt in 1997, right? So if you were just looking at pure numbers, you'd have been like, oh, this company's burning cash. They're almost, you know, and then one day you wake up and it's like, oh, Microsoft's given them 150 million and now Apple's worth more than Microsoft. How many value investors saw that coming, right? So I would say that taking a balanced approach, value investing for sure, but also have your speculative investments as well, and then not risk any more than you're willing to lose. You know, like value investing, people are taking like hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars probably and putting it in looking for 200%, 300%. Growth, like highly speculative investments, you're putting $1,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, and you're looking for like, you know, 30x or like, you know, 100x gains, right? Or 1,000x gains, turn $1,000 into $1 million, or, you know, those are the type of investments that you could have done with like the Amazons back in the day. And there will be those, like Tesla was. Again, everybody said Tesla wasn't making any money, and then they went off to make, you know, life-changing wealth for a lot of people. And they got overvalued, then they'll get undervalued again, then they'll get overvalued, and it'll just that circle, that roller coaster, right? I could benefit from doing more technical analysis. It would help me make more short-term swing trades for sure. Yeah, exactly, right? It's just like playing all sides. You know, when I was watching the show The Boys last night, and Stan Edgar, the CEO of Vought, he's like he adopted one of the superheroes, and he's the number one thing he taught his daughter was playing all sides, right? So again, if you can have an edge, if you can learn something that can help you, why are you going to say, no, that doesn't work just because you don't understand it, or you haven't taken enough time to try and understand it, right? And I've heard people on this channel say many times, it's like, oh, I listened to this one guy and he's fundamental and you're more technical, but yet you guys both come to the same conclusion. I'm like, because there's multiple ways to get to the number 4. You can do 1 + 1 + 1 + 1. You can do 2 + 2. You can do 3 + 1. You can do 0.5 + 3.5, right? There's multiple ways to get there. And, you know, a lot of spiritual people think that that's very, there's a lot of, you know, things in the universe that can explain that. but again, technical analysis was just another tool in your tool belt, right? And then you have the business side, you have the cash, the balance sheet, you have the cash, cash flow, you have all these different, fundamental and value and numbers based things that can help you, right? And then technical based, right? It's so true, right? If you just learn a little bit of everything, you don't want to be that person, the master of all, and you don't want to be that person who knows all, master of nothing, right? You want to have specialized knowledge, but you just got to put in the work, right? There's no shortcuts, right? I've done thousands and thousands of hours of research in the financial markets and technical analysis and fundamental analysis, and I try to do a balance of both. But I definitely lean more naturally to the technical side of things, and the more speculative, and like try to put myself in the mind of a market maker kind of thing. I'm kind of the opposite. I'm a lot of my time now is I'm looking at balance sheets and income statements and all that stuff, trying to learn a little bit more of that, because what I'm in now is mostly high growth and highly speculative. But eventually there's going to come a time where, like I said, MJ is going to hit critical mass, blockchain and crypto is going to hit critical mass, and then value investing is going to really help us, right? So it's going to, because we don't know, right? The Amazons, the Apples, the Facebooks, those all came decades later after the internet boom, right? And then imagine if you were using your technical skills and your speculative skills to identify those companies then, and your visionary skills, and then as they started to hit critical mass and become $1 trillion companies, then value investing and things like that to really figure out who the long-term Amazons and Apples are going to be, right? If Apple's posting 60% margins and all this stuff like that, those are things you want to know, right? So same thing with MJ. Like, it doesn't matter what the MJ margins are right now, right? Because like, even if they're profitable, unprofitable, companies are down 80%. If it didn't matter, names like Green Thumb would be up dramatically, right? If value investing was the only thing that mattered, then like companies in the US that are profitable wouldn't be down 80-90% from February 2021 highs, right? But until we get there, right, until the sector no longer moves together and we hit critical mass, that's when those things are really going to start to pay dividends. So that's why I'm brushing up a lot more on that as well. But like I said, we all can kind of help each other, right? Do you ever sell or play options? No, I don't. I look at, like, the stock market's basically like a financial casino, in my opinion. And, I don't consider investing gambling, because I just don't feel that way. Like, I have very high conviction. I've only had a couple times where something went to zero. Actually, I've never had like any investment there. I've never bought something where it completely went to zero and I lost everything, and it went bankrupt and I lost everything. I'd never had that before. What happened to me was I signed up for a crypto exchange, Quadriga, and they went insolvent, and I was holding cash, and the founder was doing nefarious activities. He was a criminal. He did fraud. So is that really my fault? Maybe. You could say maybe half my fault, half their fault. But they just did the round of checks, so I got 13% of my original money that I had there when they went down. But I've never done thousands of hours of research or hundreds of hours of research into a company or a project, and it went completely to zero. That's never happened. Most people who invest in something and it goes to zero, they didn't do any research, right? Quite frankly, unless they just get really, really unlucky. But like, I would say 90+% of people who invest in something and then watch it go all the way to zero, they probably just didn't do research, right? They probably just bought it because someone on the internet said it, or their friend told them about it, or family member, right? Like, I think everybody can probably agree with that. But I view options as like really gambling. Like, the only thing that I have yet to be able to determine is time, and most options are time based. So like, it's just like, it's like an impossible thing to gauge is time. I mean, it can be used as a hedge. Like, it could be used as a form of insurance. Like, that's what a lot of like the Warren Buffetts of the world say, that they use options as a form of insurance. But what do most people trade options for? They're like, oh, I want to get that, like, overnight gains of like 10x. I want to turn like $1,000 into $10,000 like tomorrow or next week or next month, right? And like, I don't know too many people that are actually like, and you get the people online and on YouTube who say they make thousands of dollars trading options, but like the fact of the matter is that's probably less than 1% of the world that do that. And then they only talk about their good trades, right? They only talk about the good things. How much money did they actually lose, and how many people actually make money versus people that don't make money, right? So I just view options as like the most riskiest gambling thing in the financial, like financial markets are risky enough. I just don't see the point. Like even leverage, like using leverage, like 10x leverage, 20x leverage, and things like that some people are doing. I'm like, that's just ludicrous to me. But again, everybody, different strokes for different folks. Whatever. Don't listen to me. You know, if you're successful at it, then great. Keep doing it. Wish you nothing but success. I think Palantir could be revolutionary in terms of data collection and analysis, similar to Tesla. The government will be a customer for them, and there's always good for business. Could 10x? Yeah, absolutely. I would agree. I don't know that much about it, but yeah, I mean, we're going into the age of big data, and that's going to be a big thing, right? Like I said, Peter Thiel and Founders Fund are backing it. Yeah, I think, you know, we're heading into AI. What's AI going to need? And VR, AR, like all that's all thousands of gigabytes and terabytes and, you know, of data, right? So you're going to need companies that are going to, and even got like the MicroStrategies of the world, but that's kind of an old news or whatever. It's like a mutual fund versus an ETF, with, you know, Palantir being the ETF kind of thing. If you can use that analogy, but yeah, I think they'll have a good long term. Could easily see that 10xing, but just be careful because everything is pretty overbought at the moment. The Boys is such a good show. Yeah, it really is. I don't sell options either. That Quadriga story is nuts. Do you think the guy faked his death? I used to think he did, and then apparently the Mounties, like the authorities in Nova Scotia, got his body back from India, but like India is like the easiest place to forge a death certificate. But then, like I said, the police, the RCMP, apparently had his body in Nova Scotia, so maybe not. But he definitely was doing illegal things. Like he did fraud. He was taking people's money that he was supposed to keep, and he was using that money he was trading it and like using leverage, like an idiot kind of thing, right? But like, I don't think you should lose leverage with your own money, let alone stealing people's money and committing fraud and then leveraging. Like crypto, even if you just didn't use any leverage, Bitcoin went from like, and he was really early. He was into Bitcoin when it was like in the hundreds of dollars, and it went to $70,000. He didn't need to use leverage. All he needed was time. If he would have just waited, he would have been a multi-billionaire probably, or at least hundreds of millions worth of net worth. But he had to go be greedy like most people, right? That's why like greed and all that stuff is stronger than the alternative, because it's people just don't want to wait. People want to get rich quick. They want instant gratification. And that guy was just a terrible human being. And whether or not he died from natural causes, whether he killed himself, I don't know. Maybe he was assassinated. Maybe he faked his own death. I don't know. At the end of the day, maybe we'll never know, but the fact that the RCMP said they had his body, I was like, well, I don't really think the Nova Scotia RCMP would lie about that. But then again, they never like showed proof of it either, so I don't know. It's either here nor there for me, but one thing's for sure, like no doubt about it, he was committing fraud. He was taking people's money, and he was using that money that wasn't his to make bets and to trade it, and he lost it all, right? And then, yeah, it's unfortunate. If you haven't seen that documentary on Netflix, Hunt for the Crypto King, check it out. It's awesome. Thanks, Rod. You rock. When MJ hit all-time high, I'll be coming to Canada and taking out for drinks. Yeah, you bet. I look forward to it. Well, yeah. Hopefully there's like an MJ lounge by then, or another dream of mine would be to like open like an MJ brewery, like where we only sold like MJ infused beers, and like have all these different types of craft beers for MJ. That'd be my dream as well in the future. Love beer, don't love alcohol. The way it makes me feel, and it's hard too, right? Like people, you get that like peer pressure, like you want to stop drinking, and then all your friends are going out to drink, and there's no options for you. You can do non-alcoholic, but that kind of sucks. And then if you could just buy some can of beverages or something like that. But not only that, like have an actual bar where like you can go and it's like all craft beer, but with MJ infused instead of poison, right? That'd be pretty sweet too. No one take my idea. I'm just kidding. do what you want. All right, going to end it there. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the days where we can, you know, all celebrate new highs and price discovery and blue sky breakout and 52-week highs and new all-time highs, all that stuff. It'll come. It'll come. There's no way, you know, MJ's not going to see the light of day or hit new all-time highs again. It's just, like I said, it's just a matter of time. So anyways, it's been an awesome time as always, almost 2 hours. Didn't expect that whatsoever, but thanks everybody. Thanks Doctor. Thanks Jam. Thanks Calvin for all your contributions and your comments. Tech Monkey. Who else do we have in here? Steve, and Boris, Hector, Jesse. I think I got everybody. But yeah, appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll end it there. Hope you have a great night. And we'll see you probably at some point tomorrow for another video. Take care. It's Rob with Pow Group. And yeah, looking forward to the rest of the summer. If you haven't taken any time, I would encourage you to just get out and enjoy the sun. And yeah, it might be another few weeks, it might be another couple months before we see anything in MJ land really start to pick up steam into the into the fall. If it happens any sooner, great. But yeah, and just enjoy the summer, enjoy your time with friends and family, and take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.